And we are the Ninja Legion. I'm Spider.
I'm P-Chan.
And this is Bagged and Boarded.
This is our weekly spiel about comic books and what we've read in comic books and what's going on in the comic book industry. So, welcome, everybody.
I'm sure, no doubt, you've all heard of the two big announcements that Marvel's made this week. The changing of Thor to a woman, and Falcon taking up the mantle of Captain America.
Falcon Sam Wilson.
Yep.
I mean, there's two sides of it right now. It's either people being like, okay, cool, we live in that age, or people getting really upset. And I have a feeling it was the same people who got mad about Heimdall being played by a black man, Idris Elba, in the movie.
And on all those people that complained about Heimdall being black, Idris Elba's a fantastic actor, so shut up.
Exactly. I mean, other than...
Be mad when they cast terrible actors in roles. Don't be mad because they swapped his ethnicity to put a qualified actor in that position.
And he did a fantastic...
Even if he wasn't a major part.
Because I gotta say, he stood out more to me than Thor in the first movie.
The first movie was so bad.
It was bad.
Oh, really bad.
Very bad.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about that. But, yeah, so they announced on The View that Thor would be a woman.
Which, if you're going to do a platform...
You can see on the screen there.
It looks amazing, which is odd, because when you really think about it, like, Valkyrie was kind of like the female Thor.
Or Thor, even Thor Girl.
Yeah, true.
Like, where it's just like...
You want to get down to it?
Yeah, where they're just like, oh, let's take a woman and put her in, like, a Thor costume.
Right.
They actually did, like, a whole design for the female Thor. And the idea that the actual Thor has been deemed unworthy to wield Mjolnir, and you get to see this depowered, weak Thor now that exists in the world that only has like one arm.
I mean,
it was with a cybernetic prosthetic.
It ain't the first time he's been deemed unworthy. I mean, Beta Ray Bill,
Eric Masterson with Thunderstrike. There
was the entire Thor Corps for a little while.
Yeah,
in the 90s. It was bad.
90s comic books,
but
awful.
I mean, I'm okay with, and people freaked out about it a little bit, and I'm thinking to myself, like, after the Ragnarok line in Marvel, wasn't Loki a woman? He's been like a teenage boy, and then he was and no one said a thing.
And the only reason he stopped being a teenage boy was so that they could give him his own series where he's like pretty boy Loki, so that girls would buy comic books.
I was about to say, women got into Tom Hiddleston. They're like, we can make money.
we can put out a Loki comic where we make him look like very Bishonen, and girls will buy it, and it's working.
But I mean,
sadly,
to go back on that, this isn't the first time Marvel or any comic book has changed the gender of a hero.
Yeah,
I mean, you can look at the Dark Knight Strikes Again, or Strikes Back. I always say that wrong. Carrie Kelly is the female Robin.
The Dark Knight Returns.
The Dark Knight Returns. This is the second one. And Stephanie Brown, who was a spoiler, became Robin for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Batwoman.
Yeah, but they weren't strictly like replacements for the male counterpart.
No, that's true.
They were just additional, like, oh,
Speedy.
We're gonna expand our branding. Yeah, when there was a female Speedy.
Well, then she became Artemis later.
Yeah.
So it's not the first time it's been done. I can go across comic books, but it's a good thing that we've now gotten so far in society, especially media, where you're not just seeing straight blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guys being your superheroes. You can do ethnicities. You can do gay. You can do females. I mean, look, the Blue Beetle's now a young Hispanic kid. Yeah. I wrote a list because there's quite a few. Captain America, Isaiah
Bradley. Yeah, now we're gonna
Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Yep, which is done really well.
Correct. Firestorm in DC before it went to the New 52. Heimdall in the Thor movie.
Thor.
But you've also seen this really nice addition of gay characters like Renee Montoya from the Batman titles. Batwoman, who is
North Star.
Because
they had the big wedding in Marvel.
Constantine is John Constantine of the Hellblazer comic. Colossus in the Ultimate line is gay.
Yeah.
The Hulkling and Wiccan of the Young Avengers are both gay. I remember reading my dad's comic books, the New Mutants, and they had a character on there called Karma, where she kind of like
she's still around.
Yeah, and I know the Ultimate line, she's a agent of the X Factor.
I think in regular 616, she's just like hanging out in the Jean Grey school.
Yeah, she's a teacher.
Yeah,
she's got her niece and her nephew, or she's raising.
Yeah.
But she was like the first gay character I ever remember reading about when I was growing up, and I was like, oh, okay. And Gen 13,
Rainmaker. Yeah, Sarah Rainmaker.
But I think that was kind of more of a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, that was really 90s, and actually it was funny because Gen 13 are in this week's issue of Supergirl.
Nice.
Which I haven't read yet because it's part of the Red Daughter of Krypton story where she becomes a Red Lantern, and I haven't been able to find all the issues for it, and I actually want to read the whole storyline. I don't want to jump in at the end.
I did that with Onslaught. I'm like, I'm not reading you until I get all of it.
I have to get all of it.
Yeah. Well, it also leads into, a lot of the time, I like the diversity change, but sometimes I feel like it might be a little bit of a gimmick, especially when Marvel and DC pulls that card, because they tried that a little bit with the North Star. I feel like I was glad it happened, but it felt kind of gimmicky.
They're like, oh, the gay wedding issue, and like,
but didn't what DC title was it? I forgot. I read it before I came to the studio. The writer canceled because they wouldn't let him do a wedding. Was it Batwoman?
I can't recall. I can't recall what it was because I'm not that much of a DC guy. I've only started really reading DC recently.
Don't quote me on this, but I'm going to say it was Batwoman. The main writer left the title because DC was like, well, we don't want to do a wedding at all. We don't think it's right now. And he goes, really, as diverse as the world's changed, you won't let me do a wedding.
Yeah.
At all. And he's like, fine, I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. And I can kind of respect that, especially as a writer. I'm like, fine. If you want to do that, I can go somewhere else and be as creative as I want.
Yeah. Well, I thought the funny thing was I saw one of those, like, the text from superhero memes online, and it's Iron Man texting Thor, and it's like, so I heard you're a woman now. And, like, Thor's like, verily. And it's like, well, will you still be able to, like, kick ass and bring the thunder? And she's like, yeah. All right, cool. Like, she'll still be able to do all the same things that Thor could do before, and then you'll get to have a side story about what's going on with Thor, actual Thor.
It's kind of, I
like,
feel like,
without having his powers and like how he's dealing with that. But
is it me or are you getting a superior Spider-Man feel coming from Marvel right now?
Well, exactly, because the new Iron Man title is going to be Superior Iron Man, and they've said it's going to still be Tony Stark. And they have like a new armor design where he's like all white with like blue lights,
like
and
LED
stuff.
Like highlights, and it's not bad. It's
like
interesting.
It's different. That superior tagline just kills me because the writing for Superior Spider-Man was just so bad.
Yeah,
like I felt like anytime they could, they just had him go, "Well, I'm the Superior Spider-Man, superior this, superior," and they just kept using that term over and over and over again.
That is the want
it's
button.
Really lazy writing. And Dan Slott, I hate you. But thanks for bringing Peter Parker back.
He had to, because like, oh, but this I equate that to the Clone Saga, where it's like, oh,
we messed up. Sorry.
We have to go the full length of it, but yeah, it's gonna eventually go back. Thanks.
But yeah, no, we talked about Thor for a little bit, but so Sam Wilson taking up the mantle of Captain America, it's a little bit different. Iron Man's been fighting against, or not Iron Man. Captain America's been fighting against the Iron Nail. And Iron Nail hit him with like these needles that were able to suck the super soldier serum out of him, causing him to rapidly age to how old he's supposed to be.
How old would you be if you didn't have the super soldier serum? Yeah.
God, is what, like 90? Because it was the 1940s.
I was about to say most of the World War II. There's not too many of them left even now.
Yeah. So then he just suddenly aged 70 years, and he would have had to have been 18. So at the minimum, he's like 88 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. So they had somebody, and they took Falcon, who seems like logical progression to me.
He spent the most time. He's basically his sidekick.
Yeah, except for Bucky, who became Winter Soldier. So
and he's taken up the mantle when Captain America, Steve Rogers, died.
Yeah,
during Civil War,
and he's done that too.
Right.
So yeah, it seems like logical progression for the Falcon to take up the Captain America mantle, and he's still Falcon because if you look at the image, you can see he still has the Falcon wings and everything,
and it's just
mask and the mask, but it's a Captain America looking suit. It's got the stars and stripes and everything on it, and then he has the shield. It'll be interesting to see how it functions. Like is he just put the shield on his back when he flies, and how they're going to make use of him I mean, because basically he's going to be the Falcon, but wearing Captain America's outfit and having the shield. I doubt he's going to get Super Soldier Serum.
True. I actually feel excited about it. I mean, it's a perfect, like you said, it's a perfect fit, and people had a similar reaction when they said Jim Rhodes would be the new Iron Man, and he filled in for that, and he helped form the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
And people, I really enjoy Jim Rhodes as a character.
Yeah, I like Rhodey.
Has always been, I feel like in an industry where they make kind of jokey black characters.
Sweet Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, Power Man, Luke Cage is a perfect prime example of that, where you're just like, no, please don't.
Come on, it's so he's got an afro and he's wearing that crazy yellow shirt. He's wearing a tiara. Why is he wearing a tiara?
And now he's got a bling and a grill, and I'm like, please stop.
And shaved, and he had to become more in line with modern. Can't have him running around looking 70s.
But I enjoy him as a character, and it will be interesting to see how things will run with the new Avengers coming out.
Yeah, the all new, it's all new Avengers now or something, because Marvel keeps adding
If I had
taglines.
$1 when every time Marvel or DC rebooted something, I could probably pay off my car.
It's hilarious because the whole thing that's going on is that DC decided to copy Marvel's idea when they did New 52, and just, all right, we're gonna relaunch
Marvel now,
reboot our thing, and then Marvel's like, well, DC has been really successful with that. Let's copy that.
Yeah.
So now they've been slowly, like, one at a time relaunching things, and now they're doing, like, this across-the-board relaunch with it's all new Avengers now. And the image has, like, Angela, Doctor Strange, Superior Iron Man, the new Thor, the new Captain America. I think Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are in there, too.
Angela? You mean Medusa?
No, Angela. Like, from Image
from
Comics.
Wildstorm. Yeah, from Spawn.
Because she has been introduced into the Marvel Universe now through Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they found her floating in space. And there's a 5-part series right now that's part of the original Sin storyline, where it's revealed that Angela is basically Loki and Thor's, like, long-lost sister.
Yeah.
I haven't read the issue yet. I have it at home. I haven't actually read through.
You know what that seemed like to me? A gimmick, because Wonder Woman just discovered that she had a long-lost brother.
Yeah, but it's like the introduction of a character from a different universe, because even like DC did that, because DC acquired Wildstorm. So they've been incorporating all of those characters into... Grifter had a standalone series from Wildcats originally. Gen 13 had been piecemealed into things, and with a complete team appearance recently. Stormwatch is its own ongoing DC series.
Anything with blood or death in it.
Hellspawn has become like a Superman villain now.
Really?
Yeah, Hellspawn was in like a part of the Superman New 52 stuff. So, yeah, so it's a little different.
Run out of ideas.
Yeah, so they're trying to work all those characters in. So I guess the other big thing this week or recently with new characters or costume designs is Batgirl. Right. They've announced a new Batgirl costume, which surprisingly has been met with a lot of positivity, which is unusual for the comic book community. Like we said with...
When you change anything, we're angry.
Yeah, Thor and Captain America, it's just like, grr, no, how dare you. And then the new Batgirl costume, they're like, okay, yeah, we like it. Well, it's modern, it's, you know...
Well, before the show started, Spider and I were talking, and I don't see it as I don't want to say a big deal, but I'm a big proprietor of going online and looking at what fans actually create as fan-made costumes.
Yeah.
And this doesn't impress me too much, because it looks like at least 9 or 10 fan-made costumes I've seen online. Like, as soon as I saw what I said to you, Spider, the guy on DeviantArt made a rockabilly Batgirl piece of art. And I'm like, well, that's what it reminds me of. And it's true, but I prefer it. It's functional. And I like the fact that a lot of artists and designers are going back to functional superhero costumes.
Yeah, because it can't all be spandex and stuff.
True, we can't all be Superman.
And I mean, again, that's part of it, is that Batgirl's not a super powered person. Like, she's just a girl with gadgets and who's been trained by Batman. So, like, it makes sense that she'd have, like, leather clothing to help, you know, when she, like, slides across something, or, like, a little bit of added protection against, like, knives.
Right. I like the boots, the cowl that's kind of leather clad with the
the cowl was the only thing that I saw people kind of iffy on, because it doesn't look like it would actually attach. It's just kind of there.
Sitting on top.
Yeah, It's like, well, that's not going to stay, but...
I love speaking of modernizations of costumes, like when they re-envision Captain America's uniform for the Ultimates.
Yeah.
I was like, brilliant. Combat boots, Kevlar weave, the actual
even like
Kevlar helmet with the strap underneath. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, it's like the movie.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
movie Captain America costume. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, it's not the comic book one, but this is practical. Like, this is something that somebody could actually wear.
Exactly.
Not like the weird scale pattern. Like, what is
the chainmail and the
why
gloves?
Why is he wearing scale mail? I don't understand.
I actually like that the industry has kind of acknowledged that. Well, now it's not the 60s or the 40s, and people learn things.
Yeah.
We know that's not functional. That wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love that when I was growing up, they would tell us that comic books were poison. You didn't learn anything from it. But I remember being a kid, my mother asked me something about something, and I gave her a science-related answer. And she's like, well, where'd you learn that? Like, I was reading The Incredible Hulk. Bruce Banner explained it.
Yeah.
Like, he explained about radiation and how... And she's like, really? Okay, you can read any comic book you want.
Teach you some stuff.
Exactly. But...
I'm okay with the new costume. I think it looks good. Well, I mean, really, my concerns when it comes to comic books aren't if the costume changes. It's more
writing.
Is the writing any good, and is the art good?
Exactly.
Because they've gotten to this point where they want to rush comics out a lot, so they get artists that can do the job quickly, but not necessarily well.
Yeah, we call that the image effect.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way. They're like, oh, he changes to a female. Well, how will it work into the story? Will it be Will it be worth me buying that title month to month? If you can get me to buy a title month to month and not have me regret it, you're doing way better than anybody else.
And throwing back to the Captain America Falcon thing, Rick Remender is going to continue to write it, and I love his writing. I think he's a fantastic writer, so I'm excited to see what he does with the new character there. He did a great job with Flash Thompson as Venom.
Yes.
His run on X-Force was fantastic.
I don't know if I read. Oh, you mean the one with Cable and Colossus?
No, that was that's
was
more
Marvel Now.
That's the Marvel Now one.
Right.
That was before that. No, it was the third. Yeah, the third one, because the original X-Force was the '90s one. The Rob
New Mutants.
The Rob Liefeld, the New Mutants spinoff with Rob Liefeld in that. And the next one was the Clayton Crane Zeb Wells collaboration. That was just called X-Force, and then it was Uncanny X-Force when they did that one, where it was Angel, Phantom X, Deadpool, Psylocke, and Wolverine.
Right, which were like the covert.
Yeah, the covert team with like the black and gray costumes and
which
stuff.
Which were fantastic.
Yeah, Rick Remender wrote that, and it was awesome.
Which Young Justice totally ripped off.
As their stealth costumes. And they're just like...
Right. But I will say that, again, a shout out to Young Justice. One of the best written series, and they canceled it.
They did. Well, did you hear the rumor that at the end of like the Batman panel they're having at Comic-Con, they're going to have something after for all of their young fans? And they put young with a capital Y and in quotations.
I hope they bring it back.
Rumor is that they might be bringing Young Justice back. Because the reason they said they canned it was because the merchandise wasn't selling. But tell me how much merchandise you sold from any of the most recent Batman series.
Or Superman movies.
The Green Lantern CGI series that they did.
I didn't even know they made toys for it.
Are you really selling a lot of toys for Teen Titans
No.
Go? Come on.
Exactly. I mean, does anyone own any Teen Titans Go merchandise?
You do. But that's because they're pop figures.
Not
Not because they're Teen Titans
Completely
Go.
different.
Yeah.
I will fully admit that.
Yeah, but
I was hoping you wouldn't call me out. I was like...
because they're pop figures.
I'm like, come on, Spider, don't do it. He's like, nah. No.
I have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully that rumor ends up being true, or even if it's like a movie, something. Anything more Young Justice, I'm happy with.
It was well done.
Yeah, it really was.
The thing is, DC always has that going for it. It has some of the best animation, and Marvel's never seemed to
get that. No,
touch it at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's why every time DC announces a new animated movie, I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it.
I mean, the Mighty Avengers was, I think, the best they've had in years. Next to
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah,
and then they had Spectacular Spider-Man,
which is pretty. I own that whole series.
I just ordered it last week on Blu-ray.
Yeah, because they just launched.
Those were the only two noteworthy. Other than that, it's been
pretty.
pathetic.
Yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, not really good.
It's got Drake Bell. That's enough to annoy you. And I like him as an actor, but that was enough to... I was like, really? Come on.
Although he did do the voice of Spider-Man in Earth's Mightiest Heroes when they had Spider-Man cameo there.
And it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually rather enjoyed it.
But it wasn't all the whole, like, Zach Morris crap where it's like, let me pause the world and talk to the camera for a minute.
Yeah, that whole
like,
breaking the fourth wall was
like that's
odd.
Deadpool's thing, not Spider-Man's.
Actually, they had a Deadpool
episode
which was
I watched
rather entertaining, if nothing more.
So.
More slapstick than I was used to. Don't you have something?
Well, we're kind of short on time, so can't really go over this, but I'll got some more to talk about soon. A couple of new series that I've been reading and things I've checked out. And maybe between now and then you'll have a chance to read
at least
it.
Put them there and tell them what we're gonna.
But so yeah, in the future, I've been checking out Rat Queen. Nope, this way.
No,
that way.
I just feel like I keep touching it.
We have a new camera. Woo! This series, Rat Queens. It's been recommended to me by a lot of people. It's a all-female group of adventurers, like a medieval, like D&D type setting. Mm-hmm. You have a halfling, a dwarf, an elf, and a human. So like all your fantasy tropes all on an adventuring party together, and it's like just the misadventures that they get into. And they're not like your typical like goody two-shoes female characters. Like they drink, they fight. Like,
they use racial slurs indicative to their species.
Yeah, it's been a pretty entertaining read so far, and it's actually got a pretty large female audience.
Yes,
which is really neat. Like it's a way to get women into comics. It's done by Image. It's written by a man, which is one of the things we talked about that most women aren't usually huge about, especially like feminist crowd. But they're self-sufficient female characters that really, not to play the stereotype, but don't need no man.
I read the first 20 pages of it, and I smiled the entire time. It's female characters who are like, you will get arrested if you do this. They're like, well, you can only arrest us if you catch us.
Yeah.
And I love that whole slightly Cowboy Bebop feel to it. They're like, well, yeah, we're kind of badass, and no, you can only put us in cuffs if you can put us in cuffs. So
yeah.
we'll go ahead and review that next week because it'll also give me the chance to read the entire thing.
Yeah.
I'll also bring Saga because I'd love to review Saga.
I'm current on Saga. I've actually been going and getting the back issues for it, like the individual books. I have all the trades though.
Do you?
Yeah.
I just ordered volume 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, so you'll only be 2 issues behind with those.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, they're only up to issue 20 right now because they take a break after every 6 issues they do.
And I prefer for the writer not to get burnt out because there's nothing worse than your artist and your writer, your creative team getting burnt out before.
Yeah, and Brian Vaughn and Fiona Staples have been doing a really good job with that. It's keeping it fresh. It's keeping it interesting. So we'll talk about that next time too.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a review for that.
Something to look forward to.
And just make it rain comic books.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, once again, we are the Ninja Legion. I'm Spider.
I'm P-Chan.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace and chicken grease.